right, guys, here we are, week 2 of GIFs. If you missed last week, Jared did such an awesome job of filling out and really talking about what this whole series was gonna be about. See, a GIF is really just art that's set to motion. And actually it looks a lot like this. See, like I said, Jared did a great job last week. Now, what's so cool about GIFs is it's not just art that we're talking about. Like, this series is great because what we're doing is we're saying that our faith shouldn't be stagnant. Our faith shouldn't just be a picture. It shouldn't just be something that we say. It should be something that we put into motion. And we think that this visual of a GIF is really gonna help us understand what it's like to be a real Christ follower. And so we're gonna kick things off by playing a game. And I'm gonna call this game the GIF Game Show. Or I guess maybe you could call it the GIF James Show. See what I did there? GIF. Maybe it's not a thing. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna show you 2 different GIFs, and you're gonna have to decide, based on the GIF, which person in that would you rather become best friends with? You guys get the picture? I think you can do this. So here's the first one. I'm gonna show you this guy right here. Yes, look at him. Okay, you got it? You see what he's doing? You dialed in? All right, what about this person right here? Okay. Now listen, I hope, I'm actually personally offended if you didn't choose the first kid, because that's actually a video of me when I was younger. And so I hope that you wanted to be friends with me. All right, next one. So we have this guy right here. He's doing something pretty incredible. And then we also have this person right here. See what he's doing? Okay. The second guy, his lack of skill, he makes up for with commitment. So I don't know what you value more in your friends, but that probably decides who you choose. Okay, one last one. We have this guy doing something, yep, or this person. So you get the picture, you understand what you're doing, and now I gotta ask you this. Was that hard to do? Was it hard to look at a quick GIF of someone and decide which one you wanted to be friends with? Let me answer for you. No, it wasn't. Of course it wasn't. You know why? Because we're humans and we're hardwired to judge people. We do it all the time. It only takes a second. And listen, I'm so good at it. Like, it just comes so naturally. And listen, it can't just be me. I mean, you're judging this person right here that just chews with food all in their mouth. Or maybe you're judging this kid right here who's eating his boogers. Or maybe you judge that one couple in your class that looks like this, and they're just a little too comfortable together. and it's just kind of disgusting. But it's just so easy for us to do, isn't it? We don't even have to think about it. We don't even know who these people are. We've never seen them or talked to them before, and yet we've already made a decision whether or not we're gonna spend any time with them. Like, it kind of sucks, doesn't it? You would never want someone to make a decision about you based on a GIF. I mean, like, if we did this with Jared, like, he wouldn't have any friends. And yet we keep doing this. And you may be saying, well, like, that's not that big of a deal. I mean, I don't even know these people. They're just randos on the internet. I would never do this to people I actually know. Like, come on, like, really you would never do this to someone you actually know? Listen, I just happen to be a human too, and so I know that in fact, when you know someone, you don't do this less, you actually tend to do it even more. I mean, you probably did it on the way into service today. You're probably sitting at a cube and you've already made quick judgments about the people around you. Like look what she's wearing. Does anyone think that kid's story was actually funny? I mean, honestly, the kid next to me, I'm not sure he's showered since camp. And it was kind of funny when it was just random GIFs on the internet, but when it's people around you and you're judging them and you know that they're probably judging you, it kind of feels gross, doesn't it? It kind of stinks being judgmental. And listen, you're not the only person that thinks that sucks. There's this dude in the Bible and his name is James, and he's on the same page as you. See, Jesus is actually the brother of James. They were bros, kind of like this. So after James was convinced his brother was the real deal, he wrote this letter to Christians, letting them know how they should best live out a Jesus-centered life. One may even say he wrote a letter to show us how to put our faith into motion. This letter made its way into the Bible. It's called James, which, I mean, not the most creative name, but that's whatever. Anyways, in this letter, James is fired up. James was fired up at a bunch of Christians who were just being butts to each other. They were treating people differently based on first impressions. They were literally doing what we just made a game out of. They were showing favoritism. Let's check this out. This comes right from James. Hey, don't let public opinion influence how you live out your glorious Christ-centered faith. If a man enters your church wearing an expensive suit and a street person wearing rags comes in right after him, and you say to the man in the suit, "Hey, sit here, sir. This is the best seat in the house," and either ignore the street person or say, "Better sit here in the back now," haven't you segregated God's children and proved that you are judges who can't be trusted? Listen, this early church was looking at people coming into the church and deciding right away if they had something to offer. If they looked like they had money or they had popularity that they could bring to the church, they treated them better. But if they looked different or outcast, or like they didn't have any money, they would kind of sit them in the back. And now a couple reasons James was so frustrated by this. One, that's just a sucky thing to do. Like, quit kissing up to people who you think have things to offer you. Treat everyone the same. But the real reason is this. That's not how Jesus operates. James keeps going. He says this, "Isn't it clear by now that God operates quite differently? He chooses the world's down and out as the kingdom's first citizens with full rights and privileges. This kingdom is promised to anyone who loves God." See, Jesus operates differently. He values all people, not just those we think offer us more. Jesus loves the kids that don't raise your social status just as much as the ones that maybe would. Jesus would never get up from his cube, the cube he's sitting at with a few other people, to go sit at a cube with cooler students. See, when Jesus looked at people, he didn't make snap judgments about them based on their appearance, their lifestyle, their clothes, their athleticism. When Jesus looked at people, he cared for them. He loved them and he brought them in, regardless of what other people thought. That's why James was so fired up. He was talking to people at church, people who said they believed in Jesus, yet they weren't living in a way that reflected him at all. See, their faith was just a title. It was just something they said they believed. James was upset because these people weren't putting their faith into action. They weren't putting their faith into motion. I gotta be honest with you guys. James could have been writing this letter to me. I'm guilty of all of this. I'm guilty of deciding before I even meet someone if there's someone I want to be friends with. I look at the way they talk, what they wear, what they post online, and I make decisions like that. And listen, I know how mean it is. I know that I would never want someone to do that to me, yet I just keep doing it anyway. I can't be alone on this. We know that we shouldn't do it, but we just can't find a way to stop. When we see a kid from school walk into church, we groan like, "Oh man, that's the kid from math class. Like, he's the one that just always kisses up to the teacher. And that's that girl who always talks back to the coach on the soccer team." Or even worse, you might say, "Hey, I know that kid from school. Like, he's a bad kid. Like he's not here for the right reasons. Like Jesus can't change his life." What we're doing is we're making snap judgments on someone without getting to understand who they are. We're doing something that Jesus never did. And frankly, myself included, we need to be better. Well, what if we held ourselves accountable to reject our first impulse to judge someone who's brand new at church or at school? Well, what if we were students that brought people in, that invited students we never thought would ever come, that spent time learning the story of kids that were just a little bit different than us? Man, I think if we started doing that, when people looked at our lives, they wouldn't just see students with pasted on faith. They wouldn't just look at us and say, "Hey, they just go to church on the weekend, but they don't live that out at all during the week." I think when they looked at CCV students, they would look at us, they would look at what we say, they would look at our lives and realize that we were students that were actually putting our faith into motion.